Good morning, everyone. Today we are building out a workflow that will automatically detect if our lead is in fact our ICP. When you scrape Apollo and other databases, sometimes you can get adjacent niches that you really don't want to be sending emails to. It will hurt your deliverability because they will most definitely be marking you as spam. If a medical device company, you're talking to a medical device company like they're actually a med spa in this example. But yeah, so you can do this in Clay, but if you don't have Clay, this is just as good as an alternative. And I figured that I started the build, but I was like, you know what, I'll just record it and possibly help someone out with this. So hope you guys enjoy. What we have here is a list of med spas, and the goal is just to verify the niche that they are in fact a med spa and they are our ICP. So with this, for the majority of my builds, I just do it manually. And what we're going to do here is connect Google Sheets. We're going to want the get rows in sheet. Just connect your Google account through the OAuth. And we're going to be doing our get rows function. We're going to connect the document and the sheet and just go ahead and execute just to see that. So it pulls our entire sheet here, which is perfect. From here, we don't want all the data in our sheet because that would just mess up the token usage when we're going to pull AI APIs later. We're just going to want the organization short description just as a fallback in case the website isn't available. And we're going to plug our website in here. This is just going to set the variables that we're going to pass through the rest of our workflow. We're also going to want to add a loop because we don't want to pull all 779 records at the same time. So we're going to add a loop in here. Also, when I'm building out these workflows, this is a live build. I haven't built this before, but when I'm building these out, I like to start at the beginning and kind of at the end just to give myself a roadmap. So this next node is going to be the end of our workflow, which is going to be append a row in the sheet. And it's going to be just the same kind of process here. We're going to attach our med spa leads with a new list. And we're going to be matching by, let's see, I think it's those two. So yep, we're going to be matching by those two columns. So one thing I'm thinking of right now is if they don't have one of these, so I might come back to this later, but it's good to know where we're going to be left off with. This is also going to be the end of our kind of looping area, so I'll go ahead and attach that back. I also know we're going to need to call OpenAI or whatever model you like using. We're going to need to message that model, so I'm just going to plug that in right here. Now let's think. We have the variables, we have the AI node to check, and we have our sheet here, which is going to loop over it. I really don't think... Okay, you know what we'll do? We will go ahead and not rely on OpenAI 4.0 mini to scrape the website because sometimes that doesn't give the best results. So we'll go ahead and do an HTTP request to their website. Let's see here. So I know how these work, so we don't actually have to do this. But the URL might be, so let's just loop that in here. And we can go ahead and call one of them just to get it to go through. Okay, so I will have to put a URL in here. So the only reason why I put that URL in is just so the workflow will activate. So we sent through one item here that we could play with now. Just so we can get the variables. You could do this in the expression field, but you know, it's just way easier to do it like this. Yeah, if it's one node behind, you just do JSON, $JSON dot, and then the variable name or the object name. So we're gonna pass this through, and let's see here. Redirects, let's do like 21 redirects. This is just to avoid like Cloudflare specifically if they have like protection on their website. Okay, so let's go ahead and run this. It's just a GET request to get the HTML. Invalid URL. That's a short description. That is not a domain. So go ahead and run this. Another invalid URL. Is this an invalid URL? It is not. So we'll go ahead and ask the assistant. Okay, so we need to add this. Okay, no biggie. Let's first see if we have a better website that we can plug in here. Okay, so yeah, there is a better website that we get from Appify. So we'll just go ahead and plug that in here. No biggie. We'll go ahead and copy over the name too. We'll just delete this column. So now we have the properly formatted website. We'll go ahead and run this once again. And we didn't have to change anything in here because I copied over this primary domain, so we kept the variable name the same. We ran the HTTP request and we got the website metadata and the HTML. From here, we want to work with the HTML data that we just got. Not that one, sorry. Extract HTML content is what we're gonna want. You can name this anything. It's just gonna output that as this object. Okay, this is the actual selectors that we're gonna be pulling out of this data. Now let's think what we actually want. Let's see here. We could do, so we're not gonna do a full scrape. We're just gonna scrape the home page. We can just get the, okay, we can just do H1, H2, H3, and P. So this is just the actual selectors that we're going to be keeping. So right here, as HTML is formatted, you can see here the paragraph would be under the P tag. Let's see if I can find something to show you. Let's see. So yeah, here we go. And here we have some descriptive language on the P section, which would be, you know, it should be showing us if we have a med spa on our hands actually. So excuse me. Let's see here. Just go ahead and execute this. And that's why the assistant in N8N is so amazing. I use it all the time. All right, let's see. Okay. Why did it return just that? It's a bit weird. Okay, return array. There we go. Okay, so now we have pretty much everything on their page. I use this for personalization as well. So what you really could do if you wanted, but I have a video on the channel, so you can watch that. You would just plug this in and ask for an icebreaker. But since we have this data, we're going to go ahead and plug that into our OpenAI node. We're going to be using GPT-4o mini, right? Simplify output font as JSON. I'm gonna go ahead and plug that up. This should be pretty much done. But we're gonna need to pull from our edit fields to plug this in here, which is gonna be our user prompt. We're also gonna need to add system prompt, and let's go ahead and add, that's the short description to fall back on. And then we're going to need to pull in our web scrape, but this is going to be an array, which OpenAI can't take, so we're going to need to fix that. Okay, we're going to go ahead and define these. Okay, we're not going to call it a fallback. We're just going to go ahead and give it that, and then we're going to build a system prompt. Now, I don't really want to make this a video about how to prompt engineer. That's really a video for another time. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video, and I'll build this prompt out. I'll go ahead and show you guys the prompt that I am using to build this out. I'm just literally asking Claude for the actual prompt, and it does a pretty good job. But for more important prompts, there would be a little bit more to this. This is just getting the bones of it. So just wanted to show you that. Okay, so we got a fire prompt here, and it basically just says analyze the website or the description that we will provide as a user prompt. This is basically like a custom GPT if you want to think about it that way. You're just prompting it as an API call, and you're getting the web scrape content or short description. You're going to analyze the content output, true if the lead is med spa, false if it is not. And this is made to really just be plug and play with any niche. You could just put it in Claude once again and then change that out. Qualification criteria, it shows all the menu items that would be true, business type keywords that would be true, the phrases, target audience indicators, least should be false if, and this is super important. They are medical practice, hair salon, fitness center, general wellness, etc. More prompt conditioning, just say true or false with more examples. Examples are one of the best ways that you can actually prompt engineer because it really just puts the guardrails up for the AI. So let's go ahead and test this out with our, this might not work actually because it output it as an array. So let's go ahead and see what error we get. Hopefully none, but okay, great. So we got a true here. That's perfect. So we'll go ahead and organization primary domain. So we'll go ahead and get this from the edit fields and short description. We'll match on that. So we're actually not doing this. We're actually not doing this. We're gonna update a row. I was wondering why it wasn't making us match. Column to match on would be email. So we'll go ahead and take that email. And this is just a unique identifier for the specific row. And this is going to verify we have the right lead. And then we're going to add the column to send, which is our niche verifier, which we have here. Nope, we don't have that here. We have it in the OpenAI content equals, I think this is just content, right? I'm really not worried about the output, but I could change that if I wanted to. Let's just execute this step. Okay, as you can see here, we got true. So this is a good lead, right? Now all we have to do is, if we wanted to do this for the whole thing, you know, let's just leave it the same. This is a completely working product here, so that's great. And it only took what, like 15 minutes? Or no, I paused it, so it'd be like 20-minute build. Let's go ahead and just execute this as is. Let's see if it works for all of them, which it will not because it's gonna stop running here. So you're gonna want to do on error, just do continue using the error output, and same for this one, because you don't, like, some of them won't have a website and it will error out, so you want to make sure it keeps flowing. Now this should be good from here. Okay, great. So it is running. While this is running, I'm actually gonna add a node here to if. Add an if node. Let's just see it go through a couple more times. Okay. So that's working great, but I do want to add an if node here to only pass through if the specific variable is empty. And we're gonna cheat a little bit. We're gonna go to our other workflow from the last video. We're gonna see exactly where I put that if node in. Okay, so it was right before the loop. Okay, so it was right before the loop. That's a good thing about having a lot of builds, is you could just go back and, let's see, you just go back and cheat. So if it is true, because we don't want to go map over all of them again, right? So if, so we also need to pass through our existing niche verifier result. We need to pass this through because if we don't have that, we're gonna have nothing to base it off of. So now that we have that, if niche verifier is not empty, let's see. If niche verifier is not empty, then we'll continue, right? Yeah. If this is empty, I'm so bad. Is empty. Okay. So it should pull the majority of my list. So it should pull about like 779 or something, or 776. Yeah, so true, and then we continue. Okay, great. So once we run this again, it should not run over the ones we've already done, and it should start right here. Okay, great. Yeah, so for any reason you need to turn it off and just continue again, it won't pass through all of these again. So this is basically it for the build. I will have all these resources, or this build's template, in the video description. It'll be the first link. If you enjoyed, make sure to smash that like button, and I hope you enjoyed the demo.